When I say the words, hiking through the Swiss Alps, you might have visions of stunning mountain ranges, valleys, and impossibly blue lakes. And if you've ever been there, you likely also think of this. Whenever I look back on my hike through the Swiss Alps, the sound of these bells is the first thing that comes to mind. The chorus of these cowbells has become just as synonymous with Switzerland as cheese, chocolate, and pocket knives. They are the melody to any Swiss Alps experience. So I had to know, why? It's no surprise that farming has been a major industry in Switzerland for hundreds of years, with over 60,000 farms across the country, mostly small businesses run by Swiss farmers and their families. This is dominated by dairy cattle, cows, which accounts for over half of Switzerland's farming output. In addition to being common, cows are a huge deal in Switzerland and central to their heritage, and this doesn't just stop with farming. There are literal cow festivals. Yes, cow festivals. To celebrate the ascent and descent of cows into the alpine meadows, where there are cow parades with the Swiss cows being adorned in flower headdresses and other decorations. Sounds like a really good time, honestly. This ascent and descent is part of why bells are necessary. These cows don't just stay in a pasture year round, they migrate. A big reason why over 35% of Switzerland is used for agriculture is the huge areas of land Swiss cows are allowed to graze on. The cows go up into the mountains for the summer and down into the alpine meadows for the winter, known as Alpwirtschaft. I'm learning German at the moment. Hopefully I pronounce that correctly, and this has been happening basically unchanged since the 1300s. In short, a Swiss cow is a nomadic cow, or at least semi-nomadic. From mountains to meadows, this change in elevation can be as much as 1,500 meters or 5,000 feet. With these huge distances involved, Swiss farmers needed a way to keep track of their herd as they wandered, out of sight, through fog, and through the night. Hence, the Swiss cowbell was born. These bells are traditionally made of bronze or steel and can weigh as much as 5.5 kilos or 12.1 pounds. Whoa. They can be as loud as 90 to 113 decibels close up, plenty loud to be heard at a distance. Apart from tracking, they have other purposes. The rhythmic clanging of the bells can actually help to soothe the herd, mellowing them out and calming them down. And sudden ringing can warn a shepherd of danger. Additionally, religious symbols on the bells were believed to ward off evil, as though each ring of a bell was a prayer. Little bells are for the normal cows, while the big bells Switzerland is known for are left for the biggest, bestest cows. Farmers keep these bells strapped on them year round. In the early 1700s, the bells were made by bell makers. Blacksmiths specialized in the making of cowbells and bells for other animals. Traditional bronze bells are cast from a clay mold, with most decorations made through the casting process itself. Traditional steel bells, known as Streichers, are made from 2 sheets of steel, each forming half of the bell. They're heated and then hammered into shape, then hammered some more to refine and hone the sound of the bell. From there, it's decorated with engravings. Cowbells have been used in Europe since around the 1300s, the literal Dark Ages, when the earliest records of it being used in Switzerland are found in Swiss folklore, where the Streichel was a rare and coveted item. In Die Güldene Kuhstelle, the legend of the Simmental talks of how a young cow herder strays into a mountain and is offered by a beautiful woman 3 choices: a treasure full of gold coins, a golden cowbell, or the woman herself. He chooses the cowbell. Back then, the bells were reserved for only the lead cow of a herd, and over time slowly became worn by more and more livestock by the mid-16th century. The craftsmen making these bells are extremely skilled, with this process refined to an art form. From the fabrication and decoration of the bells to the honing of the precise tone they make. It can take years, or even up to 2 decades, to perfect. Some bell makers are so renowned for their craftsmanship that farmers will come to them specifically for their clear signature sound. Swiss farming families spend large amounts of money on their ornate cowbells, almost acting like a Swiss family crest, being a source of pride and also showing who the cows were owned by. They can range in cost from 150 Swiss francs to up to 4,000 for the most ornate ones. While modern technology these days like GPS has made it easy to keep track of livestock, the cowbells have persisted as they've become a key part of Swiss culture and tradition, while still serving their purpose. Bell makers have been around for hundreds of years, with their techniques and traditions being passed down from generation to generation, and the art form survives to this day, though numbers have dwindled to just 8 bell making foundries. While a few bell makers have moved to using modern tools like plasma cutters and hydraulic presses in the making of their Cowbells, for the most part, bells are still made using traditional methods. Bell maker numbers have dwindled, but the strength of this tradition and the cowbell's importance in Swiss culture has kept them going to this day. If or when you find yourself hiking through the Swiss Alps, I guarantee you'll remember the clanging of these bells as the sound of Switzerland. I ended up in the mountains of Switzerland while on a 50-day solo Europe trip through 7 countries, and it was an adventure that happened completely unplanned. I love solo travel, the ups and downs, the spontaneous nature of it all, and all the adventures it can bring. But it can also be challenging. If you'd like to learn more about how to solo travel yourself, be sure to check out the Solo Travel Explained course on Brightrip, made by probably the most qualified person on the planet to talk about it, Lexi Alford, the youngest person to travel to all 196 countries at just 21 years old. Only at 35? Got a lot of catching up to do. Thank you all so much for watching, hope you enjoyed. If you've been to Switzerland, what do you remember the most? Were the bells as iconic for you as they were for me? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe for more awesome travel videos here on Brightrip, and I'll see you next time. Tschüss, ciao, au revoir, all the words.